Good afternoon, everyone. All right, I hope everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, let me just get your response
Yes,
in the chat box. All right. All right. Okay. Thank you all for joining today's Industry Spotlight. Yeah. Yes. Okay. All right. I can get our responses. All right. Thank you all. So thank you once again for joining today's Industry Spotlight. We already have our Professor Antonio Alizzi, who will be taking us through the topic. As the topic we are looking at today is on supply chain sustainability, developing the progress from strategy to action. All right, so I'm sure our professor is ready to, take us through the topic. And I will not be the one moderating the session today. We have Mr. Jason who will be moderating the session today. So I'll be handing over to Mr. Jason as he'll be taking us through and moderating today's session. Thank you all once again for joining. My name is Justina Oyelone. I'm a career service officer here in Rome Business School. All right, over to you, Mr. Jason.
I'm fine. Greetings from Italy. I'm currently in Sicily, the island close to Africa, by the way. So it's very, very famous all around the world. You are all in Nigeria?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm very happy to be with you. Yeah, I'm very happy to be with you.
We are glad to have you too, Prof. Thank you very much, Prof.
You're welcome.
All right, so Mr. Jason, over to you.
Thank you, everyone, and good afternoon, Professor Antonio Alizzi. Good afternoon, Justina, and thank you for the beautiful intro. I want to specifically welcome you once again to the Rome Business School Nigeria Industry Spotlight session, which is almost becoming like a weekly event where Rome Business School brings professionals and professors from different fields of life to come and lecture us and give us knowledge and points that will guide us in the course of our career. Today is not going to be any different. As Justina has mentioned already, we are going to have a supply chain industry spotlight session today. The topic for today will be supply chain sustainability, developing the progress from strategy to action. My name is Jason Babakwahi. I work as a procurement specialist with GFA Consulting Group, a German firm here in Nigeria. And it is my pleasure to moderate today's event, which, like I've said earlier, brings top personalities from various industries, the arts, and various walks of life to our community. And it gives us opportunity to hear from these distinguished professionals. And I'm particularly excited about today's program because it's going to be handled by one of our most illustrious professors from the school, Professor Antonio Alizzi. And I will start by reading a short bio about Professor Antonio Alizzi. Professor Antonio Alizzi is a graduate of international relations. He has a master's degree in human relations and a PhD in business management. He is also a prolific author, and he has authored many books on many scientific works on business innovation. From 2011 to 2014, Antonio taught business administration at the University of Verona. And at the end of 2014, he was appointed as head of communication and image department of Calzedonia in Russia. And 2 years later, he was appointed as a coordinator at Calzedonia, UK. At the end of 2016, he moved back to Moscow and joined the International Media Group as the first vice president. From 2020, Antonio is HR and organization director at INEA Tech Biomedical Company. He is also the scientific director of Rizola Academy and strategic consultant of domestic and international corporations. At Rome Business School, Professor Antonio teaches the business model canvas for supply chain. Having said that, I will hand over to Professor Antonio Alizzi and say good day, Prof, and how is Sicily today?
Sicily is very fine. The weather is currently so windy, but kind of warm at the same time. It was even rainy in the morning, we have just 1 hour. We are 1 hour after you, so it's here. No, you are, I think, because here it's 4 p.m. There is 3 p.m. right?
Yes, sir.
3:30:05. Yes. Okay. So more or less we have the same light. It's okay.
We
are on the
will
sea.
begin with your presentation.
You are on the sea.
Yeah, we are neighbors.
Okay.
We will begin with the presentation, and I will we'll be taking note of the questions that will be coming from the audience, especially in the chat box. And after your introduction, your presentation, we can give you opportunity to answer the questions that may arise in the course of the presentation. Thank you. The floor is yours now.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you everyone who joined today the webinar. I was very curious about the club, I would say, that is joining from your side. I asked in Rome more information, and they said that you are very active in involving professionals and sharing experience. So what I would like to do is not only to speak about current challenges and possible solution about the supply, also to stimulate you and to have a kind to give you a taste of what I use usually when I speak about business, and in particular is the business model canvas. I believe that many of you have heard about it. So what I will do is to use Canvas, business model canvas, as a tool to think about how supply chain is organized into our company, how to make the supply chain a core business function within the company. You know, that till 25 years ago, supply chain was considered a back office function in the company, and colleagues who were running that function were respected if they were, strong enough to make the colleagues respect them. But nowadays, with artificial intelligence, data, and all the intermodal possibilities to move goods, logistics supply chain has become crucial for the success of the company. If we think about pandemic time and what was going on when the demand of products is rapidly growing, we do understand that supply chain was a really strong bottleneck. So how did I imagine my presentation today? I tried to share the screen. Let me, just a second. iPad, Safari, should be this one, I believe. Okay. You don't see the presentation, right? Okay, I will go now. If I send into the chat a link of YouTube, can someone display it and play it? It's a video, because I would like to start with a video of 7 minutes, which can inspire us enough to have more images into our brains and in front of our eyes. Okay.
Yeah, you can send it. Let me see if I can share it from this side.
Yeah. Okay. I just have downloaded the video. I didn't want to have advertising, but in case we skip the ADV that might appear within the 7 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, let me see.
What we need are the first 7 minutes. I mute my screen.
Yeah, it's coming up. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I see the screen.
Yeah, I can see Dr. Peter Kudesi's hands raised. Dr. Peter. Hello, Dr. Peter, you can unmute yourself.
It doesn't start.
Yes, I said it was a mistake. My raising of the hand was a mistake, please.
Okay,
It
sir.
was a mistake.
Okay,
It was a mistake. Thank you.
okay, okay.
We cannot hear the audio, maybe.
You can't hear the audio? Hello?
Kettlebell shortage of
Kindly
2020.
confirm if
I just want my shoe. Give me my shoe, please.
Then it was supposed to be November. No. Then December.
Give me my PlayStation. Am I wrong for wanting this, bro? I mean, everything just sucks lately.
Take my money. Take my money. I don't want it. Give me my shoe.
Every time I check my email, it's stuck on this right here. I don't even know what that means.
Tonight, one word sums up the feeling along every line of the supply chain: frustration.
Well, the shortages and delays in the global supply chain threaten a total
When the pandemic hit, businesses anticipated that the COVID recession was coming. They thought that demand was going to drop, but something funny happened. The opposite of what all of these businesses and economists predicted happened. Demand exploded. People bought things like crazy, and now supply chains are choking on that record demand. Everyone's had the experience of not being able to get something, and everyone has had the experience of paying more for something. Prior to the pandemic, most of us just took it for granted that we could get things ever faster. E-commerce made it seem like everything was right at our doorstep. But that obscures what was a 14,000-mile journey halfway around the world. It took months, and when you add up all the automation, all the algorithms, all of the hundreds of people who had to touch those goods or transport them in some way, it's in total one of the most complicated endeavors that human beings ever engage in, and yet it happens millions of times per day. And we take it for granted because all of that has been rolled behind this ultimate convenience of just one-click e-commerce shopping. But the pandemic showed us just how unsustainable and unrealistic that expectation is. So consumer electronics like USB chargers, they feel like they are readily available to us, right? We can get it the same day.
USB chargers are an interesting product. They're relatively simple. The key thing is those chargers don't sell for a lot, so you have to keep your labor costs down and you have to really focus on efficiency.
The invention of the shipping container and ocean-going shipping made it cheap enough to move manufacturing wherever labor costs were lowest.
Global supply chains have really brought us a cornucopia of products that we might not otherwise be able to have as much variety as or as attractive costs that we see. When you buy a product off of a store shelf or online, that's actually the tail end of a journey that might have begun a year ago in a factory that might be half a world away. Vietnam has been attractive because of relatively low-cost labor.
If we take the example of a simple USB charger, it's assembled in a factory in Vietnam, and then usually it's placed in a shipping container that travels on a barge to an ocean-facing port. There it's loaded onto a ship for a trip across the Pacific Ocean.
So you're interested in machine learning, but you're not sure where to learn more about it. Check out TensorFlow, built by Google engineers and powering Google Tech. We've curated some of our favorite
The trip across the Pacific Ocean can take anywhere from 20 to 30 days. Working on a ship can be like living in an office that you can't ever leave. It's high stakes, and it's often mundane and boring. Because sailors tend to be confined to these ships, and it's almost impossible for outsiders to get on or off of them, this is a part of the supply chain that remains invisible to most of us.
A watch lookout is done visually and also by radar.
Fortunately, some of these sailors like to record their experiences.
The watch officer is in charge of the navigation and overall status of the ship. Safe navigation of the ship is the highest priority.
The fog is so thick in this area, we can't really see around us, so we have to use a radar.
Each one of these container ships can carry up to 10,000 containers, but they can have a crew as few as 20. So it puts enormous pressure on each sailor to do their job, because if anything goes wrong, the results are going to be catastrophic for supply chains.
The last thing we want is containers falling into the sea if we ever run into bad weather. We keep watch on the overall conditions of the ship, checking the mooring lines and looking out for suspicious activities like stowaways or pirates. Sea conditions like this can last for days. The relentless pounding, the never-ending pitch and roll. I can only describe it as living under a 24/7 airplane turbulence.
The biggest container ships are as big as a skyscraper laid on its side. And one reason they've gotten so big is that when you look at all the costs, crew, fuel, etc., the bigger your ship, the more money you can make on every container. The cheaper it is, ultimately, to ship these goods. But the bigger you make these ships and the more efficient you make these supply chains, the worse things go when there's a bottleneck at one of these single points of failure.
The 400-metre-long Ever Given got stuck on Tuesday morning, running aground in high winds, reportedly after a power failure on board.
More than a dozen ships are waiting to pass through the Suez Canal. That's one of the world's busiest trade routes.
And each day of backlog, more than $9 billion worth of goods is stuck. And that translates to about $400 million an hour.
More and more shipping containers have been flowing toward us from Asia, and of course, we're not really shipping stuff back.
Now, we see a large number of ships in San Pedro Bay.
Okay. Okay. Do you see me right now? Do you see my screen?
It's
yes,
coming
you
up.
can see your screen.
Yeah.
Do you see the presentation?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, so if I do this way, do you see full screen? Yes.
Not from my side. It's still not on presentation mode.
I'm not in presentation mode.
Yeah, it's on presentation mode now.
Okay, so you read supply chain sustainability, the title of our meeting, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So first of all, don't worry, it was not a great experience, but I will send you the link within this presentation, which contains all the information I'm going to discuss. The idea was to make you see what is currently well seen on news, mostly on TV, on internet, and but that it's important to see again. There is a sentence that one of the interviewed persons said at a certain point, that was that when you get a box to your address, the story of that arrival of the box started 1 year before. So when we speak about supply chain, when we speak about logistics, what we have to keep always in mind is that what we do now, what we say now, will impact at least in a year. So I will show you now a slide which says which are the current bottlenecks, the current issues, problems, challenges, you can call them as you like, that are connected to supply chain ecosystem. We can say that part of those issues raised because of pandemic, but part of them raised because we didn't pay attention too much, looking at the demand, which was growing in the last decade, according to the organization of delivering goods, moving goods in general, from a company to another company, from the last company which produces to the final user. So before starting, what I want to say is that I'm here representing the master of the Rome Business School in supply chain. This master is promoted by the Rome Business School in Rome, together with the Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals. And what about this partnership, which is very important, especially for students who decide to join the program, that the Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals has more than 8,500 members, as you can see, and professionals from 76 countries. In Italy, the partnership with the Rome Business School implied the possibility for the students who want, after getting the master degree, to be ready to get the certification of the Council of Supply Chain. And I believe that it's an important information to get nowadays, because the community is getting more and more tight, I mean, close to each other, the members, with the possibility in terms of networking and even job opportunities or business in general among the participants. And there is you will find a slide about the certification, which is called the Scientific Consult Pro, that basically usually follows the master. So while we are here today, I also would be very happy if you have questions, observations, or any comments to write them into the chat, because from time to time I will have a look and I will try to come back to you with an instant feedback. For sure, it's interesting, the Q&A moment, but I would be very happy also to get in real time what my words, how my words impact on you. This is a webinar, but actually I imagine to make a surprise to you at in some minutes, right around 4:45, 4:50, because I decided to invite a person running a company that has a very good point into the logistic issues and supply chain in general. Her name is Erika. You will have the honor to know her, as I said, in some time. So, which is the agenda of our meeting? The video clip to warm up, which was a little bit disturbed. I solved when the video was running in the screen of my moderator with my colleague, the problem I had in sharing the screen. So that's why now I can share. After that video, I will jump into my topic, which I mentioned before. This is the business model canvas. Why business model canvas has connection with the supply chain? Because we do know that a business is the result of important choices that the entrepreneur in general was ready to take. I mean, taking a risk. But the idea of enterprise nowadays is very much different than in the past, because in the past, the entrepreneur was choosing the market, was choosing the product, the good, the service, and then he was okay, or she was okay in choosing the right managers. Nowadays, we have turbulence into the market, into the ecosystem. So there is no choice in terms of business that can be safe. And there is no choice that can be said belonging to the entrepreneur, and choices that belong to managers. So what is happening is that entrepreneurs have to know what managerial skills are, to talk to them and to expect from them also certain results. And the managers, which is the reason why we're here today, should learn a little bit more about the perspective of the entrepreneur. We all are entrepreneur of ourselves. And what I want to share with you is a simple way to read a very interesting model, which is the business model canvas, to treat any project in our life, any choice, any idea, any business cross streets we are in front of, with the logic of the entrepreneur. So the business model for us is a compass. You know, when you are on the ship and you lose yourself, you can use the compass to understand in which direction you should go. But also at the same time, the business model canvas can be a business advanced tool to set KPIs within the supply chain department. Conclusion and Q&A. Have a look at the chat. Okay, great. Is it clear so far? Do you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Clear or not? Okay, which are the challenges today when we speak about supply chain? We do know what pandemic had in terms of result and what the current war is. I see some video, some check maybe, I don't know, that is interesting. What the current war, or anyway, conflict in Ukraine, because also the port, very important in that part of the world, is given us in terms of results. But the challenges should be not all mixed like a soup, you know, but identified one by one to understand on which one we can work as a company, as a country, as a region in the world, and in which sense some of them are out of our control. So material scarcity. The material scarcity is linked basically to the growing demand we had during pandemic, and in general, due to the fact that many regions of the world are growing very much, or were growing very much. So pandemic plus this degree of growth that many regions in the world, which usually were using less, were having, created that problem, material scarcity. We cannot all access to all the products and goods which were available before. But material scarcity, as you can imagine, that issue was increased, it was amplified by the war, by the conflict, and by the fact that because of pandemic, the workforce was forced, let me joke with these words, to stay still. So not having people working created a problem in terms of moving material. The effect of material scarcity was the increasing freight prices, which currently is again rising, because the conflict has blocked important stuff, important materials, which are the base, as we know, to produce and to transform other materials. These prices are growing because there is this kind of combined effect: less material available and huge increase in terms of energy prices. What was also impacting on the companies, if among you with companies on their in their families or in their experience, you know that pandemic is changing the paradigm. We don't want to predict, we cannot predict how our demand curve is going. So there is a difficulty, an obvious difficulty in understanding which are nowadays goods that people really want. We know, for example, that in the Western society, and it's interesting for me to understand if in your country and in your region, you have what we have here, that is the Great Resignation. So 7 million people just in Italy in the last 3 months left their job, because they believe, after pandemic in particular, that combining private good life and professional, results is not okay in the way the society is to us with the proposal. So people that were living, for example, an island like Sicily, where I live, moving to the northern part of the country, going to Milan, to Rome, even to the central countries of Europe, to get a better salary, but paying for things here they don't pay for, like the apartment, for example, made them understand that they got there for a better salary, but then they have to live with less resource at the end, because paying for living there much more money at the end of the month makes you just full of sacrifices and without those bigger opportunity you believed. So it started from US, we know, during pandemic, and it was so contagious like virus. And now in our country, but not only our country, Spain is another example, Greece is another example. People leave their job place. So the workforce, which was at a certain point required, and there was a lack of availability of workforce because of pandemic, still is missed because people don't accept to work at the previous condition. We do know what happened in summer in the airports all around the world, no? Huge lines, cancellation of flights, and so on. So it makes even now very difficult to understand for what people are ready to spend money. So this is the point 3, difficult demand forecasting. So as you see, is just one statement, but on the base of the problem, there are several factors which should be, analyzed one by one. We had election in Italy a couple of days ago, no, maybe 3, it was on Sunday, so a few days ago, and one of the points discussed to get consensus was to increase the salary per hour, just as a result of this big issue nowadays, this demanding a solution from the politician, from the government. So number 4, port congestion. We have seen in the video, but we know what happened in Suez. And we have all experienced the problem in waiting arrival products by us, by the final user, because of that situation. But again, the port congestion in that case was an impact also on supermarket, for example. The price of goods which in our country were considered domestic one, national one, because of that problem that is linked to moving, for example, equipment to produce those products, resulted in raised prices. So the port congestion will also be, you see the last sentence of this slide, what to do right now. At the end, we will see for each point which solution as a managers we should propose within our companies to impact on a short run, not only on a long run. On a long run, we do know that it's a matter even not of a country choices, but of international organizations choices. But what we can do to face material scarcity, increasing freight prices, difficult demand forecasting, port congestion. The point number 5, I mentioned already discussing the point 3, but if you stop on it, you can see that the consumer attitudes are changing on a wider degree. In which sense? It's clear that part of the world was for many years used as a kind of rubbish basket. Now there is a point of view that is very shared that says we have to move from theory to action. It's again our webinar. It's not possible within each country, not only north of the world and southern part of the world, to stop using part of the territory as more used than the other part. And it implies to use it to produce intensively more than other regions, to use it as a place to waste, to share and to hide the waste there, but in general also not to warrant it to the workforce the same rights. So because of that, the attitudes of consumers are every day changing, and the companies which are faster in getting where the trend is moving forward can have huge business opportunities. I make an example for you. Italy is a country, just to speak about something which I know very well, is the first country in the world drinking water using bottles, plastic bottles. We use, as no one in the world, bottles to drink water. We were interested by a law few months ago that increased taxation on plastic. You know what happened, as you can imagine, that entrepreneurs, to pay less taxes, they had to think about disruptive business with a certain degree of disruption. So why, I ask to a manager, to you, not considering more intelligent to be disruptive before taxation arrives? Because when taxation arrives, you do know that the switching costs are much more higher than starting to diversify your business, keeping the products, keeping the service. So what we have to bring within our companies as supply chain managers, we have to bring within our company the sentiment of thinking wider, of diversifying the way we make our business. So one point is the business we have. Another important point is the way we make that business. So we move goods through planes. Yes, because we believe that it's faster, it's cheaper, I don't know. Are we sure that that is the only way to move our goods? Because our customer, we will see later, nowadays are ready to wait more. Sometimes if they pay less, sometimes they want to pay more because they expect to have a better service. So probably when we think about what our customers want, we don't consider that they are much more divisible in clusters than we believe. So our consumers are changing. Are our companies changing with the same speed? Probably not. Digital transformation, I've mentioned data. Nowadays, the transformation, when we say about digital, is not only about smartphone or having production plant which are full of robots. It's the robotics. It's an area that will move together with the industry that is going faster and faster, but not so ready to give product to be immediately usable for our companies. So when we imagine the digital transformation, we don't have absolutely to mix this with the what is making a more, using less workforce. We do know that for many years, people saying 2050, people you need to run your business will be 50% less. But following this theory, following this assumption, without going within the assumption, we made runaway people searching for more creative jobs, for what they say it's the future job. It's an interesting release that Google made a couple of months ago. Within the most searched keywords on Google from July to September as the future jobs. What does it mean? That before choosing universities, young people, after the college, they start to choose, to ask Google what they should study for. And this is, as I said, result of the theory and the media amplification of the fact that the job market is changing. But job market is changing with us slower than what to be expected. But digital transformation is another story. Is the fact that the company can check better real time and improving the way it does business, it runs the business with data, using them in an intelligent way, which was the problem with data, that we are so strong in collecting data, that data are bigger than the ones we can understand. So then we started to speak about smart data. But what does it mean, smart data? It's not just a problem of elaborating them. It's a problem of selecting which data, maybe there are not so many, are very crucial to us. As you see now, I'm just mentioning in a theoretical way, which are the problems, which are the challenges in supply chain. What we will see then are possible answers, which is the plus of the webinar, in my opinion. It's just not to list problems, even if listing by number, and calling by naming the challenges is very important, not to have that super effect that I mentioned before. So we have problem, okay, but problem is made by different levels. Restructuring is it's a must-have nowadays approach. When something doesn't work, you can do two things: shut down, so you close the door of your company, you stop working, or you change. So we call it in a softer way restructuring, to say that there is always a possibility to think differently in terms of organization. So the key of any business is not like only in the past, product or good, but about the way and the shape you give to your organization. Inflation doesn't require many words. Things and products cost more, even services cost more. And I want to make you think about a big issue that is raising right now within the education system. What happened? During pandemic, universities in particular, business school even, were forced to move from on campus to online. What happens in an age that is from 19 to 24, 25, when the physical contacts are very important, that if you move from on campus to online, you miss something that then you cannot get again, because we know that rhythms in terms of working speed are much higher. What we see nowadays in the education system is that, for example, taking an exams on campus today seems much more difficult than it was in the past. not only because many students were like smart enough not to study and to find, let me say, ingenious ways to appear prepared and ready to pass the exam, but because the way of being together is a component which important in a certain in a stage of our life. So when we say restructuring and digital transformation, we should very well pay attention to the effect, which usually don't come immediately, of our moving everything digitally. So I said that those are the current challenges in terms of supply chain, and we will see later the possible solutions. I said that to give you something practical to approach any of these challenge or any other, we can use the business model canvas. So the business model canvas basically answers a simple question. When we consider our life and part of our life like a project, a choice we need to make, etc., are we asking ourselves all the right questions? So are we considering all the key points we should consider not to miss anything which is important? Because when we make a choice, usually we think, and the way we think is wondering and giving answer constantly. So should I go to work tomorrow, or should I stay home if I feel not very well? And we think, okay, if I don't go to work, maybe my task will be not completed by tomorrow evening. Okay, and then I ask myself, if I don't complete my task by tomorrow evening, it will impact on me after tomorrow when I will probably feel better, but the task didn't meet the deadline, something like that. So it's just an example. We make a choice, asking ourselves something and answering. The business model canvas, which was a startup project, tried to map all the questions which we cannot miss when we make a choice. And the result of this huge project, which took place in Austria, was that we have 9 questions. 9 questions we always have to pay attention to before saying to ourselves, okay, I've considered what is important to take into account. And those groups of researchers mapped that 9 questions in a drawing, which you have in front of you. As you can see, it's a kind of like a collection of pieces. Some of those pieces are bigger than others. In total, there are 9, what I call the 9 building blocks. What I want to do now is showing to you the questions that each of those blocks ask us to consider before having a final full stop, and saying, okay, now I can choose. Customer segment, the target audience that you plan to offer value, from your unique offer and differentiate from the competition. What does it mean? I'm a company which provides a solution. That solution should be better, different than others providing the same solution in terms of problems which they solve. We have to be good enough in saying in one sentence what makes the way we solve the problem and the problem we solve unique or different than others. Sometimes I have a job interview with students, and I ask them, what moves you here to me? it's a different way to say what you can offer more than or differently than other, you know. And ask yourself, very often we repeat standard answers. We are not able to identify what makes our offer different. If we do not understand what makes us different, we cannot sell the product, the good. And within the companies, we are sellers. Supply chain people are sellers in front of colleagues of possible solutions, especially with marketing people, with sales department, because sales department come to you saying, look, we want tomorrow to start to sell online what we sell on physical shops, for example. Give me a business plan that tells me how much cost I have selling online. And I believe your salesperson says to you that we can save much money on in comparison with shops. So I want to price the product less because I'm sure that you will make me sell in a better way in terms of final price. You know, nowadays, we just discussed the problems that logistics is having, that supply chain is having. You have to be able to say no and to explain. So in this sense, supply chain workers are sellers, internal sellers. So value proposition, even within our department, within our function, with anything we propose to do. Why? What the proposal is inside, different, unique than others. Okay, I apply to enroll the master in supply chain in Rome. In my motivation letter, we start from the value proposition, which I have, which I represent. The other block, another block is the one that we call channel or channels. What channels will your value proposition will be delivered through? We have not to imagine just the way we move something, but we have to imagine how we move the sales message. Okay, if we speak about supply chain and the relationship with our marketing or sales department, for us, the channels are evidence, are trends, are report, are analyzing data in the way they can really impact on the final choices of the entrepreneur. I see, by the way, Erika Rastelli, and that is the person I told you before. What time is it? Because I don't see the watch right now. Okay, yes, it's more or less time to involve Erika. Customer relationship, and I want also to stimulate Erika because being an entrepreneur, those questions are questions which I'm sure within her company they deal with every day. How do you plan on keeping solid relationship with your customer segments nowadays? That maybe supply chain implied you to raise price very much, to say I'm not ready to deliver to you what you want. I'm even not ready if you are Russian, I'm Italy, and I produce products which before were selling very much there for some reason, maybe that is even not depending on me, but on my country, which has undertaken sanction against your country. I mean, we have to keep the relationship healthy and safe. What are we doing to do that when we have issues? Revenue stream. Okay, so you have an idea of the product, of the good, of the service, but how you will bring at the end money to your company. Because an idea, business idea is good just if you have an evidence, and the evidence is about the revenue stream. Key resources. Okay, to support the proposal you have, the idea you give me as supply chain manager, which are the resources you have inside that will support, that will keep resilient your proposal. Key activities. Okay, I want to move from delivering by plane, delivering by ships. Okay, how we have to restructure your activities, or vice versa, obviously. Key partnership. Are we sure that the suggestion you have, the proposal you have, is supported by, enough by the partners you need to have? You will say that one of the suggestions which I will give you is to keep liquidity in your company, to have more cash than in the past, which can appear to be counterintuitive, because people nowadays say, you have inflation, your money will have less value very soon, invest it. So in something that doesn't lose value. But if you do that, how do you face a key turbulent ecosystem? And the last one is the structure of cost. On one side, you look at the flow of revenues. On the other side, you look at the cost structure, because at the end, the business is just removing cost to revenues you have. So Erika, I don't know if your microphone is on. I said to our colleagues connected today, I hope they heard me very well so far, that I wanted to make a surprising, and I wrote to you just a couple of hours ago. So it was a surprise also for you, because Erika was involved and is usually involved in my course at Rome Business School about supply chain and business model canvas. Erika, if you can tell us in a couple of minutes about what your company does. And by the way, maybe we can ask the moderator to tell Erika in very shortly what about the audience, and which is this webinar part of what?
Good day. No, Erika, you are muted. You're muted. I don't know if you can hear me. Well, yes, you're still muted.
You are muted.
Erika can unmute herself now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay.
Yes. Basically, this is an industry spotlight session of the Rome Business School here in Nigeria, where we usually bring professors and industry professionals to come and educate and guide our students and non-students on the challenges facing their industry and how to go about it so as to improve the efficiency and effectiveness in the industry. This is one of the weekly sessions, and today's one is focused on supply chain industry and supply chain sustainability. Thank you, and over to you.
Okay, here I am. Thank you, Mr. Professor Alizzi, for the invitation. Thank you, Elder Jason Baba, for the introduction. Well, we are made in Italy company, I would say. We are manufacturer in the wood sector. We produce furniture, especially kitchens, wardrobes, and also office furniture and bathrooms. We have all our companies in Abruzzo region, in the center of Italy, 2 hours by car from Rome. We live near the ocean, and we also have the mountain, so it's a beautiful place to be. We are more or less 400 people working in the company, and in the last year we closed the year with 83 million euro turnover. Let's say that this is very challenging here because we are facing some consequences of the war in Europe, such as the increase of the price of the energy, especially the electricity, which is the main resource that we have to deal with for our company, considering we have many machines in the production. Fortunately, we don't use much gas because this is another issue in Italy at the moment. And we go on facing this challenging time, and of course we don't want to do a path to lose terrain. How can I say? We don't want to miss any opportunity that the market can give us. So we are actually expanding our presence in the world. We opened last year our contract office in Milano. We are very well specialized in the contract business, which is the capability to furnish the buildings that all around the world. When you sell an apartment, usually the kitchen is inside, the bathroom is inside, the wardrobes are already inside, no? So we got to speak with the constructor and we make a deal with them. In order to develop this part of our business, we just opened also in Lugano. We opened in United States a contract office, and so even if the moment is very tough, we try to strengthen our relationship with the market in order to, let's say, try to not have many consequences from the loss that we had with, of course, the big loss of the Russian market, because, as you know, paying gas for a Russian customer today is an issue. They have to organize themselves to be able to make a deal with us, and of course the Ukrainian market is actually zero. Said this, that is the picture of the actual situation. I would also like to say that we go on projecting beautiful products. We are still still wishing to invest in the research and development. In fact, in October, we will be in Orgatec Expo with our office furniture and contract department in Cologne, Germany. And we are expecting many people to come there because since I think 4 years, the last edition was 4 years ago, since because of COVID, of course, the edition of 2020 was not taken. And
Erika,
see?
I have a question for you. The title of this webinar is Supply Chain Sustainability, Developing the Progress from Strategy to Action.
Yes.
In a turbulent situation like the one we are living right now, in a company like your company, 400 people selling all around the world, basically you sell more abroad than in Italy. Yeah. So you know cultures, you get in touch with many. I saw photos from Saudi Arabia, from everywhere. Your company is everywhere. How do you manage this uncertainty in terms of supply chain? I mean, material scarcity, we saw price that is going up with the energy and so on. How do you do every day? Because I would like to give our colleagues some clear understanding of what happens within the company nowadays.
It's a very tough day. Of course, the strategy helps us in facing the reality. For example, as you know, Antonio, in the past.
And there is a question also, I get the chance to tell you, from Segun Oluwato Biawe. Sorry for the pronunciation. Segun asks, what operations are essential for the success of your business? So operations, concretely, nowadays.
Yeah, I can answer to this. As you know, Antonio, we have become the number one in Italy from 97 to 2000, when my father, the president, decided to in order to face the logistic costs that were very high, to sell not assembled kitchens. Okay, this was a trend during those years because we wanted to help speaking about operations, we wanted to help our customers to save money with the logistics. In the following years, in the last years, we have been especially selling assembled kitchen, since the cost of logistics were low. So the people preferred to evolve and to have assembled kitchen, not to spend money with the workers that had to install the kitchen. What I expect an operation of success in the following months, up to me, is that we are going back to 97. I expect many orders to arrive for not assembled kitchen, since today to send a kitchen to China is much more expensive than it was 1 year ago. To send a kitchen to Nigeria, it's much more expensive. To send a kitchen to Saudi Arabia is much more expensive. Saudi Arabia because of the higher cost of the petrol. In China because of everything we know. So what I expect that the strategic mean would be our capability, since we produce everything inside, to produce two kinds of product that can help the customer to save money. And regarding the supply chain, I can say it's a very tough moment for our technical and providing office, since we receive news day by day. We don't have time to, let's say, foresee. We have to have the capability to face the problem today for today. For example, for kitchens, we need ovens, we need refrigerators, and all these complements that are fundamental for a kitchen are made of stainless steel. The sinks are made of stainless steel. Nowadays, you can receive an email from the provider saying, okay, the sink that you have sold, since the stainless steel came from Ukraine, will not be in our container for your company. This means that the order of the lady from Sicily, maybe, that wanted that beautiful sink, and that the process of the order is already finished, okay? You understand the difficulties that there is in calling my partner in Sicily, telling, listen to me, can we suggest to the lady another beautiful sink? And he has to speak with the lady has to speak back. So today, the capability to solve the problems in a very fast way is a resource. We do have many people working on this, so we strengthen the team to face the actual problem. So we can afford everything today. Okay, of course, it's not an easy life as it was until 2 years ago.
Erika, there is a question from Aramide Gonzalo. May I ask, Erika, why your product could not be sent to both China and Nigeria specifically? Or which are the issues that make delivering the products problematic?
No. Of course, we can sell. We do actually sell our products in those countries. Anyway, I was just saying that the cost of logistics that in our sector is a cost for the customer, for our partner, have been increasing so much after the war. So having a made in Italy product today is much more expensive than having a made in Italy product 2 years ago. Okay. So I was just saying that the possibility for our company to produce everything inside and to give the possibility for the customer to have the same product in a not assembling way, it means putting in a container 40 kitchens instead of 10, could be, it's just my imagination, but could be the solution for the following 12 months, for example. it's beginning to be a request. I see this as a solution for the future if the problems of the costs continue to be the ones that we are observing in the last year, considering that in Italy, the company are facing problems with the raw materials. If you don't have wood, you cannot produce a kitchen, of course. So let's say that we are lucky because we produce everything inside, we have stock of materials. So if we don't have the white, we have the pink, we can always find a solution.
So
The
flexibility in staying cool with the designer, for example, is a concrete operational answer to the problem, right?
Yeah. If we cannot, the last moment, if you cannot provide a certain kind of wood, we can provide a beautiful other kind of wood. In the last year, you said I am coming back from Saudi Arabia. I just came back, and for example, there was a lady there that chose a beautiful gray kitchen. I knew that gray that was in my sample offer in the box of my partner that was doing a grand opening. So let's say very actual material in the box was not available anymore. So I had to say, I'm sorry, this gray that you have just chosen is not available in the market anymore. Maybe you can choose a lighter one, a darker one. This is the problem nowadays. I was there, okay, thanks God we solved, but you know, also with new material, you face everyday change. And the market is also in difficulty because the people see that there is an increase of the cost of the life, no? So maybe they are a little bit scared. I think of the internal market, not the foreign market, okay? Depending on the target you go, it depends. So every market is a different target. But for example, in Italy, what I observe is that the medium price of the kitchen is lowering a little bit because the people, being scared from the situation, prefer not to spend too much and to save money just in case something more happens.
This is what, Erika, we name the changing consumer attitudes, and on the side of the company, the difficulty to forecast the demand, which is changing together with the attitudes of consumers. I see Bashir that raised the hands, maybe wants to ask directly with his voice the question.
Yes, Bashir, you can unmute yourself now.
Okay, thanks very much. Good evening, Prof. And then good evening, Erika. Good evening, everyone on call. My message is simple to Erika. You know, in this, your business, we have one or two, not multiple, but we have competitors that is also running in concurrent with what you are doing. How do you manage the situation in terms of competitors' activities in logistic department? Thank you. Because if I feel your cost is high for me and I move to the competitors and I see that competitor can deliver for me, so why do I choose you? So how do you manage that?
Interesting. So you say made in Italy products is now more expensive if I should pay higher logistic. So how do you run the competition, Eric? How do you convince the buyer to choose you even if you are more expensive than him? Is a believable competitor?
Let's say that it's not said that I'm more expensive. I mean that we do benchmark in the market, and since we produce everything, we try to have a very transversal project. For this, I mean that we can have the cheap kitchen and we can have the very expensive kitchen. We have different brands for different capabilities of the customers. So what I can tell is that what makes the difference in the market is, first of all, our history, I can tell, because it's a nice history, and storytelling is very important in a relation with the customer, knowing who we are, and the fact that our company is now facing, let's say, generation change. My father is only 60, I'm 40, my sister is 36. I have other 3 brothers. So the people that deal with us can feel sure that this company is going to have a future. Because nowadays, I think a theme is this company going to have a future if they have to pay such high costs for energy and for everything? So second thing is to have financial strength and being able to face the costs of the moment, to have margins, to face the costs that is not only for energy, but I think we have 400 people working. We have to pay every month. So I think another good point for the customer today is seeing in us financial strength and capability to face the future. And third of all, last but not least, as I said, they know when they deal with us that we are not commercializing product. We are a manufacturer, which is not always like this in Italy. Most of the time it's not like this. We do produce ourselves. So it means we have an operational administration that deals with our production, with our technical office, with our back office. And we answer to the customer in every language they speak. And so we organized a company that is responding to all the customer needs, because having the production inside means that if I go to the United States and they need a larger furniture, a wider furniture, or whatever they need, I have the capability to do it and produce it inside my with my machines.
Erika, can I interrupt you? I want just to take advantage of your being here, knowing that we have till 5:30, and I mean our moderator, I invite him to stop us any moment. Someone invited you to write into the chat the website of the company.
Okay.
Curious or interested. And I want to show the 6 possible reaction actions that we can put under our table discussing with entrepreneurs and with the marketing and sales department, that basically are going together with what Erika was saying. Keep liquidity in your business, because as Erika said, for example, we manufacture, so they produce furnitures, so their margins stays always in their process of creating, of producing furnitures. So if you have liquidity, you can find ways to produce alternatively, for example, or you can face a strong moment, tough moment that requires you to spend more money, not to increase the price to your client, losing the client maybe. Diversify sourcing in your supply chain strategy. For example, Erika, this is the last question I have for you, is what your supply chain people in the company are proposing to you to do in terms of making life of customers or your clients easier than it can appear so far. Work with a freight forwarder. So it depends on the business. You cannot always do that, but consider to make someone doing business with you having a better, wider income from your side. I mean, getting the possibility to be the only one. identify alternative shipping ports in case of conflicts or pandemic, it's even necessary. Improving demand forecasting, which we said is very much complicated, but as Erika said, being in that market, she proposed, why could you choose this slightly different product? So finding more let me say, ways automatic to move the interest of the clients in a different solutions, in a different way that is sustainable. Sustainability is having a new match with the demand and offer and staying resilient. According to Gartner, which you know it's a very important consultancy group worldwide, through 2024, 50% of supply chain organizations will invest in applications that support AI. And as we said, data analysis, a smart data analysis. Keep in mind that men go together with data. But what Gartner says that once you have artificial intelligence and analytics to inform inventory build, make sure you have flexible access to capital. Again, point number one, so that you can place your orders when you need, and at the end, obviously satisfying your customers. Erika, the question about how your supply chain managers are acting right now.
I can give the same answer that Gartner is saying. We face the problem by investing in new systems to control our warehouses, to control our production, to measure how much everyone is producing, and to be more flexible. So what we did is invest lots of money, not only in machinery as we did in the past, but also in the control of the data. Today, we are able to observe what is happening in our production by staying at our decks and take strategic decision for the future. You can tell, why didn't you do this before? Because I think that until COVID arrived, we were very, very comfortable in our comfort zone, being sure that we were in 120 countries all around the world, having eaten pasta with all our customers and having strong relationship and feeling very sure of what we had in our hands. When COVID arrived, we said, okay, something must change. And to give to this company the possibility to stay alive as wealthy as this company was with my father, we have to adapt ourselves to the actual problem of the supply chain. How can we do it? By controlling better, having data and study the strategy. So I agree with what Gartner said, and this makes for us possible that today we are in Lobos, in Nigeria, and we sell kitchens there. We are, let me check, I was Abuja, we are also in Abuja. So we keep selling in Nigeria, also thanks to the capability for us to defend our position in the market. Otherwise, if in one country I'm only in 2 cities, maybe I could have decided to go away from that country to focus on the countries where I have more selling points. But we decided to keep going also with the customer of Nigeria, that is Il Bagno Black Pelican, to strengthen this relation, because we think that we can always improve in our relationship with our customer, continuing to give them beautiful products. You know, we have the passion to show our beauty all over the world. Okay, so even if the time is right to maybe make, let's say, a focalization of the market, at the moment, we want to keep fighting in this challenging world.
Thank you, Erika. There is another question. Someone raised the hand. I cannot. Aguibe Moses.
Where is my business in Lagos, Nigeria? I know that I spoke with the export manager before this event, and he told me that our partner is Il Bagno Black Pelican. Wait a second. I asked him for the address. And then you can write maybe into the chat. But the raised hands is another person, right? Aguibe, right? Yes, he's asking to unmute. If the organizer can unmute Aguibe. I don't know if I can do. No, I cannot do. Someone can unmute the colleague.
Agube, you can talk now. You have been
unmuted.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, thank you very much for the session. I just have one question to ask. You were talking about relationship with countries like Nigeria. Okay, so my question comes like this: how do you sustain relationship with countries like Nigeria in the face of scarcity of resources that may tend to lead to increase in price, coupled with exportation price? You know, how do you maintain that relationship when your product and services that you render to our country can actually be sourced for in other countries at price that are competitive? So how do you build and sustain this relationship with all of these challenges that is facing your business? Thank you.
Antonio, did I understand well? Yes, he's asking me how can I face the relationship with Nigeria with the
he said yes, probably there are countries that you could decide to focus more on because the challenges are less strong than Nigeria. How do you keep alive and very well the relationship with countries where you could think to not to go ahead with the same?
Okay, let's say first of all, the export manager that we chose for the African market is an export manager that is an Italian guy that lived in Nigeria since he was 12 with his family, in Africa, I mean, since he was in Cameroon, since he was 12 to 2020, so 8 years of his life. So to maintain the relationship, we first start from the people, okay? So we chose an Italian person from our village, actually, that had an experience in Africa. He stayed there 8 years, and he knows how to speak with you. He knows your culture, he knows your traditions, and you know how important this is to know a culture before selling a product, okay? So we chose Simone, and Simone speaks perfect French since he was in Cameroon for 8 years and went to school in high school in Africa. So the second thing is the capability to communicate with your country, and we have the right person. Said this, we tried to solve the problem that you have said, for example, by sending our installer to teach to the installer of our clients in Africa, many of them, how to install the kitchens in the house of the people. So let's say we did training session of our installers for the African men that got to install the kitchen in order to give know-how, okay? Fourth, we, as we said before, have different kitchen of different prices, and if a customer has problem with the higher cost of a kitchen, of course we have a product that is a brand called Ciao Cucine that is not expensive, okay, that can be affordable, okay, also for the African market and the Nigeria market in particular. Okay.
So basically, it was a mix of, choices and actions you took. So it's 5:30 p.m. It's time to end. I want to follow and to respect your time. I saw a message about the request to fill a form saying if you were satisfied or not about the webinar today. And I asked the moderator to guide us in the last step.
Okay. I know you are going to have election next year, so I think that this will not help our relation business, because I observed that in the African country before election everything stops a little bit. Let's say that what we hope is that our governors are going to be illuminated in order to give us a future together, and having the possibility to be sustainable, as you said in the beginning, because sustainability is also having the possibility to sustain the people that work with us, our relation, and do it in the better possible way. For doing this in two countries so far, like Nigeria and Italy, it's also important to have people that make the law, that allow us to have a good business relation to go ahead.
Erika, there is another question from Akpa Vitalis.
Okay, good afternoon, Antonio. Good afternoon, Erika. Good afternoon, my colleagues. Please, I have a simple question. Your products in Nigeria are Italian origin products, right?
Yeah.
And there is this influx of furniture products from China all over Nigeria. So, and from my perception, I think Nigerians see European products as, having edge over that of China, in terms of quality. So, how do you manage this cost? Because I know some people will see yours as more expensive than that of China. Okay, so by so doing, I think some might decide to be buying Chinese products instead of yours. Okay, so how do you manage this kind of situation so that you not lose market base, or how do they put it, you not lose your market share?
Of course, in moments like this, we are patient, because in a situation where your money lost power compared to dollar, 40% of the power, we can just be patient, because of course we cannot compete with the Chinese product, no? We are much more expensive. And it's also expensive for our customer to deal with us. So what we do is going on to have a good relationship, waiting for new good times to come. And I'm sure that maybe after the election in 1 year, the situation could evolve in a better way. So of course we invest in other parts of the world, and we hope that our business that for the moment we'll have a little bit of stop in Nigeria can flourish again as soon as the politician situation is going to be stable, and as soon as your money is going to strengthen as it was before. Of course, we have to deal with political situation and the power of money when we work. Okay, but this is something that we cannot manage. We try to do as much as we can with our professional job, waiting for good times to arrive.
Thank you, Erika. I invite you, if you want, to write your email address on the chat. I just left mine. I said that I was very happy to join today, and I invite the moderator to guide us.
Thank you, everybody. I will write. I wrote the address of the company that somebody asked me for Lagos. Now I'm writing also the website. So you want also my email address, Antonio?
Yes, please
Okay.
write, and we leave the word to the moderator to tell us what to do.
Okay.
We listen.
Thank you, Professor Antonio and Erica, for an enlightening and educative and informative session. Before I call on the representative of the Rome Business School, I don't know if there are any closing thoughts from Professor Antonio.
No, I want to say that I'm very happy that you enjoyed Erica, because Erica is very much busy all around. When I wrote to her, I said, I don't know if you are flying right now or if you are.
Actually, when you wrote to me, I was speaking in a session.
Big present yes, and Erica usually knows the Rome Business School and is always ready to give students and partners in business, because she's part also of the entrepreneurs club in Italy. I don't know how to translate Erica into English, but we have a federation of entrepreneurs. She's a representative. So when she speaks, for sure, I asked her to speak about the company, giving us real life, not just theory. We need real concrete examples. But also when she speaks knowing what entrepreneurs which sell and work all around the world tells her. I mean, how is the situation right now? So I see
to this, I can add that something familiar to every entrepreneur now in Italy, that it does not depend from the wood sector, is that we are missing resources, human resources, because the people after lockdown change their point of view and want to see different priorities in their lives. Until 2 years ago in Italy, the job was a priority in life. Today, the people want to have time for family, want to have time for traveling. And so what we are observing right now is that in reality, the lockdown was a big change for the companies. And for me, that I work in human resources, is very challenging, because people that have been working with us for 20 years just come and say, you know what, I want to stay more with my family. I decided to quit. And we are not speaking about temporary jobs. We are speaking long life contracts. So this is a common deal for every company in Italy. We call it the Great Resignment. No? And this is something that we are observing at a national level, because we expect some solution from the government to have the capability to retain and motivate people in a way that is different from the salary, but to give people the motivation to feel part of a company and work in a company. This is something I can bring as a contribute for something that we are observing at the national level.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you very much. Thank you once again. Mr. Oluseyi Timothy, I don't know if you are ready to address our participants and to thank our facilitators. But in your presentation, please, I would like you to give more emphasis to the membership of the CSCMP that Professor Antonio Elias spoke about. I have seen a lot of questions about it in the mailbox, especially from people that have degrees in supply chain management and are not members. Thank you, Than. Over to you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Erica.
Yes.
Bye. Ciao, Antonio. Bye.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Jason. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Loud and clear, sir.
Yes, thank you so much for moderating this insightful session. And yes, a lot has been learned. So Mr. Antonio, thumbs up from here. That was very powerful. And then Erica, yes, you are the best. You've done so much justice to this. So we really appreciate what you've actually done, and we are glad. And then to our esteemed students and prospective students, it's a good thing that you are here. and to also see part of our value propositions here at Rome Business School, Nigeria. And this webinar is just part of what you'll be learning. This is just a tip of the iceberg. So starting the master's program, a lot is what you'll be learning. And then I say big thank you all for joining as well. And then so to other activities in terms of master's program that we run here at Rome Business School, Nigeria. I'm also glad to tell you we run the Masters of Business Administration. We have the Masters in Project Management. We have the Masters in Logistics and Supply Chain Management. We also have the Masters in Finance. We have the Masters in Tourism and Hospitality Management. We also have the Masters in Entrepreneurship and Innovation, then Masters in Marketing and Sales, Masters in Digital Marketing and Business Transformation, as well as Masters in Corporate Communications, Masters in International Human Resources Management. We also have the Masters in International MBA, which is targeted at young professionals. We also have the Masters in International Digital Marketing and Business Transformation, also for young professionals. So all of this, they are wonderful programs because we are working towards bridging the gap between the education industry and then the business world. So it is more of a localized learning for us here at Rome Business School, Nigeria. You get the best international practices combined with the local best practices to help you become more of a greater manager for the business world. So this is what we do. So, and peradventure, you are here, you're yet to enroll, you have a few questions or any other thing. Now is the best time for you to enroll. The intake is starting October 2022. So what are you waiting for? Our classes are extremely stimulating. Myths are shattered. Learning is daily. Bonds are forged. Alliances are emerged. New ideas are bettered during the course of you running this master's program. So connections are bettered. Every of this is what you'll be doing, learning here at Rome Business School, Nigeria. And also, Mr. Jason, you also asked a question around what Mr. Antonio also asked. So it is part of the value propositions we are looking at, and then the didactic departments will be able to give us more of a comprehensive insight to this once all of this is being available. So everyone rest assured, Rome Business School value proposition keeps increasing, and then this is the best place for you to start your learning journey because we even have the business leadership development program. So this is aimed in giving you more insight into the business world. What will you be doing? These are some of your master's activities. You learn about time and time management, speed reading and learning skills, and then you would even be able to learn about basic accounting. So attend some of this webinar series. So imagine an insightful webinar series. So just so much, so interesting. And at the end, you even learn about Italian language class. Then you get a certification for this, for all of this. So much more we offer here at Rome Business School, Nigeria. So if you're not enrolled yet, you can reach out to us, send a mail to us. You can reach out via WhatsApp, anywhere, just go online. You can proceed with your application, or you're stuck at a point with your registration process. Meet out with your advisor. They are in the best position to guide you through all of this application process. So I would say thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And then I am glad to also be a part of this webinar. So Mr. Jason, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Timothy. I don't know if you can drop the application link in the chat box for those that are joining us for the first time.
Okay, all right. I'll do just that now. Okay.
So while we wait for him, let me take this opportunity to thank you once again for the opportunity to enjoy your company this evening and to wish you a blessed day. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Antonio. Enjoy Sicily. Thank you, Erica. I don't know which town you are.
Thank you so much, Professor Antonio. Thank you, Professor Antonio. Thank you, Erica, for that wonderful and insightful session. Thank you, Jason, for moderating the session. Thank you all for joining today's Industry Spotlight. We really appreciate.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you all. So
Good luck to everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Erica. Thank you. Thank
you,
you,
everybody.
Rome Business School.
Bye.
Rome Business School, I doff my car for you.
Thank you. Thank you.